In lesson 1 of the lighting video, I showed you how to achieve professional 3-point lighting with inexpensive gear. In today's lesson, we will discuss one of the many important qualities of light and how to improve your lighting outside. The first thing that I want to mention is the crew. You can use anyone who's available. In this case, I used my 4-year-old son and my wife, who generously adjusted the camera a few times, even though she had our 4-month-old strapped on her tummy. Remember that it's the look that matters, not just one method or another of achieving it. The primary equipment I'm going to demonstrate today is the Neewer 5-in-1 reflector. This is the best option I've found for this, and it costs about $23 on Amazon. The reason I like this 5-in-1 reflector so much is because it gives us several different options. It allows us to have a diffuser if we take this reflector off completely. And it gives us both gold, solid white, and silver reflective surfaces. But if you are more strapped for cash than that, you could certainly find adequate substitutes. Aluminum foil and poster board work fine. You can even use these $7 automobile reflectors, which are available on Amazon. So the first quality of light that we're really going to discuss today has to do with directness or diffusion of light. Direct light is what you would think of in direct sunlight. It is harsh lighting. It makes a 4-year-old try to hide his face from the sun, and it creates very dramatic shadows. But the harsh shadows tend to make people look unpleasant in some ways and unappealing to the eye, certainly. We have a couple of options. One is to screen that light. This 5-in-1 Neewer reflector comes with a silk imitation, which allows you to create a kind of shade which doesn't completely shade the sun, but instead creates a more diffuse light. And that diffuse light, which is much softer, creates much more pleasing features on a figure, especially if you're going for a beauty shot. You can also achieve this with a large, very thin sheet, any soft white material. The other method, instead of diffusing the light that you can go through, is you can actually reflect the light into the shadows and diminish the shadows because of that reflection. So with this reflector, we have a couple of options. We can reflect with the gold side or the silver side. The gold side obviously adds a warmer tone, so if you're trying to warm up somebody's features, if they're particularly pale and you want to add some color to it, or if the lighting is very gray, sometimes you may want to add some color to it. But for the most part, out here in Colorado, we tend to go with just the silver reflector. So here you can see how the gold reflector is making a difference. Here you can see the silver reflector. And here you can see the soft white reflect. Depending on your character and their features and how close you can get the camera, the soft white is often the best option for you. Now what you notice we haven't discussed so far is the backlight. And the backlight actually is usually less necessary when you're outside. There are a few reasons for this. One is that since your character is not so close to a wall or a backdrop typically when you are outdoors, the selective focus will tend to separate the character from the background more. But even if you do put your character fairly close to some other object, as I have put my son here close to the bush behind him, you will still notice that the sunlight bouncing around in a natural sense does tend to create a kind of backlight effect that still separates the character from the background.
Another runner in the night.